was watching the last video I made back to write the description for it. A word that kept popping into my head was discernment. And so I thought it would be a good topic for the next video. And how do we know when we're being discerning, when we're setting healthy boundaries in our life, and how do we know when we're taking our past trauma, our past abuse, our past hurt that we survived and maybe are still healing from a little bit, and projecting it onto people who look like characters who hurt us in our past, who or how do we know when we're judging people rather than being discerning? And I would say one of the best ways to know where we are, whether we're judging or discerning, is what kind of place are we coming from when we're communicating? Are we communicating from a place of cutting people out of our life dramatically and instantaneously without really ever double checking, is our ideas or is our judgments of these people accurate? Or are we coming from a place of giving people a chance, getting to know people, and seeing who can fully meet us and who can't meet us? And we're all going to have to be discerning of, sure, maybe there's some times when someone really is not an okay person and doesn't deserve a chance. But most of the time, most of the people out there are loving people, or kind people. And if we can take time to get to know people slowly, and if they're interested in us and we feel a general level of connection with them, can we be curious of what we think about people? I think is like the general message in discernment, because egos love to have boundaries that are dramatic, right? Our ego will go from a place of having zero boundaries and letting everyone get too close to us, and then it will ping pong to the opposite side, and it will have boundaries like it's a vampire slayer stabbing wooden stakes through people's hearts without really ever double checking if the person they stabbed the stake through was a vampire or not. And our ego loves drama. And so can we ask ourselves, am I setting boundaries from a place that's creating more drama, more hurt, and weird interactions in my life? Or am I setting boundaries from a place of, I get to know people, I show curiosity in people that are curious and interested in me, and I see, is this someone that I would like to spend more time with? Because we all get to be discerning of how we live our life. We all get to be discerning on who we live our life with and what we choose through our life as well. And I would say, just as a little aside, also when we're thinking about our discernment, oftentimes something they don't talk about in school is that discernment is oftentimes our intuition, and how we get intuitive hits about people comes from our imagination. And so there's nothing wrong with having ideas about people, because your intuition is your imagination. And if you ask yourself, what would be the greatest action step for me to take today? What would be the most loving and compassionate thing I could say to this person? And then you imagine what that would be. That's your intuition. That's your angels literally speaking to you and telling you what the best direction is to move, to speak, to act on. But our ego also can act as the imposter of our intuition. And if you ask the question of like, what would be the greatest action step for me to take, and you hear, you have to do this. Your ego always comes from a place, you need to do this, you have to do this, and there's no other option. And your soul always comes from a place of suggestions of, what if you did this? What if you made this choice? And it's a great way to weed out our egos from our souls. Is our soul offers suggestions. Our ego says you have to do this, you need to do this, there's no other option, and it's usually a not very rational choice. It's usually like, I need to move states even though I don't have the finances to do it. I need to date this person and I can't date anyone else. I need to quit my job and move to Colombia and start an eco farm before I've planned any of it out. Our ego lives in absolutes, and it's the same way the ego sets boundaries. I cut people out before ever giving people a real chance or really taking any time to double check, is the people I'm cutting out actually people I should be cutting out. That's how our ego lives. Our ego lives like a ferocious samurai trying to chop its way through the rainforest, where it's our soul says, why don't you just get back on the path? You have a choice today. You can go left or right. In the end, it will both lead you to the same spot. Right would be a little bit more harmonious if you chose that. That's how our soul talks. Our ego talks like, I'm going to try and jump off paths, hack my way through the forest, and find myself where I need to be. And our soul goes, why don't you just make the most rational choices you can today? Because our intuition, I've said this before, 90% of the time is going to be rational. It's going to be logical. It's going to make sense. And if we feel like we're coming from a place that feels a little magical, or is like magical thinking, that we can think about like, oh, that feels like a good choice, but then to actually plan it out and move that direction feels a little chaotic. That's usually coming from a place of our ego, because our ego lives in a place of trying to create drama, trying to create chaos in our life, trying to create complications in our life, and setting boundaries like that create more complication and chaos and drama, because that's what feed our egos. Our egos live from the toxicity and negativity I was fed as a child growing up in my family, becomes part of my identity structure. And that identity structure hates to change. And the only way it stays alive is being fed more complication, more chaos, more drama. It's like why people love reality TV show. And if you watch any reality TV show, there's no shame, but it feeds people's egos. The toxicity, the negativity, the constant arguing feeds egos that live for the arguing, that say, if I am not fed enough negativity, enough arguments, enough hurt, then I have to change, and I don't want to change. Because oftentimes the upbringing, the community we were raised in, the family we were raised in, we were raised by people who also didn't really like to change, and we pick up that pattern. And so when we're thinking about who to spend time with as friends, or maybe I like to dance, maybe you're into dancing too, who to dance with is another great way to say it. So who to be friends with, who to dance with. And there's going to be certain people in your life who you go, I really love spending time with this person. They take a lot of the interest and curiosity I show them is the same interest, or pretty close, the same interest and curiosity they show me. And they're a really fun person to hang out with. And those should be the people who we spend the most time with. And then there's going to be some people who you go, maybe not all their choices really line up with like the integrity of how I live my life, but this is a really kind person. This is a person I enjoy hanging out with every now and then. And this is a person I care about, who feels good to spend time with most of the time. You could put it like maybe 85%, 80 to 80, probably 85% of the time, they feel really good to hang out with. And that's a person maybe we see a little bit less. Maybe their consciousness isn't still fully matching ours. Maybe they're still working out some habits, or still finding their way through some like complaining. But overall, we really like spending time with them, and they're like kind and supportive. That's a person maybe we see a little bit less. But is a person we hang out with sometimes. And you can think about the people who aren't matching your level of consciousness, complain a little bit more, but you generally enjoy hanging out with them. You can see it almost as like service. Like you are the sun, and there is a forest of trees and plants which you can just think of as other people. And you make sure to shine your light, your sun, with all the trees and all the plants a little. And the people who like we love to spend time with maybe get a little bit more of our sunlight because they maybe this isn't a good example now that I'm like halfway into it, but the people, everyone's a sun. We'll try everyone's a sun. And the people that maybe the people you like to spend the most time with also really reflect that sunlight back to you, and it doesn't really feel that draining to spend time with them. And then there's maybe some people who are a little bit dimmer suns, and you hang out with them and you enjoy spending time with them. They're an interesting sun to hang out with, but they maybe reflect that light a little less strongly, and maybe you feel a little bit more tired hanging out with them. Not super tired, but if you spend a couple hours with them, you're like, okay, that's good for the week. Like I don't have to hang out with them. You don't have to hang out with anyone, but I can take a little break from seeing them till the next time I hang out with them. And then there's maybe some people who are like black holes. And the people who are like black holes are the people we don't have to be friends with at all. The people that we don't have to dance with at all, because they feel like they suck our energy more than they give anything to us, more than they reflect anything back to us. And a good thing to also think about is is anyone I'm spending time with mistreating me, hurting me, saying things that are subtly like hurtful, even if it's just like they don't seem to be aware of it, like a micro aggressive statement or a statement that subtly puts me down or kind of hurts, and we just don't acknowledge it at all. If there's people in your life like that, even if it's subtly hurtful, it's usually a person saying, hey, I can't really handle your level of presence, your level of love. And it's probably someone, if anyone's like saying something that's hurtful, it's usually someone to, you can try having a conversation with them. You can try saying, hey, you're doing this, you're saying these things, and it's kind of hurtful. Can you change? But if they're not really changing, or you feel like you're just circling and having conversations with them, it's usually a person to go, not really my person, not a person for me to be friends with, not a person for me to dance with, a person that's meant to dance with other people. And so that's how we think about friends, is there's going to be people that are a yes, where they reflect our light right back to us, and it feels really good to hang out with them. There's going to be people who maybe are a little bit dimmer yeses, who reflect most of our 85% of our light back to us, or they're at least kind and supportive and we enjoy their presence, and they are loving when we hang out with them. And those are people, but maybe their consciousness, their patterning, or their like negativity, they're still working through a little. Those are people we maybe see sometimes. And then the people that mistreat us, the people that say microaggressive statements, the people that we feel like an energy suck when we spend time with them, are constantly negative, constantly complaining, and we go, get the fuck away from me, are the people we don't have to see at all. And we can just say, hey, you do this and this, I can't handle this, this isn't really supportive to me, I need to remove myself from this friendship. And so that's a great way to think about when we're thinking about who to be friends with, if we do dance activities, who to dance with. And and you can also think about it like, who's attuned to me, who has like a level of joy or positivity, or like makes jokes, or like is playful like I do, and in those people, even if they're not fully able to meet me, they have like some qualities that I really enjoy. And those are the people that we're going to see sometimes, and the people who have more and more qualities that we really enjoy are the people we'll see more often. And so when we're thinking about dating, how discerning should we be with dating? And I would say, be really fucking picky. If it ain't a hell yes, it's a hell no. If you are thinking about dating someone, think you are literally going to spend like multiple times, you're going to hang out with them most of the time. Most people that date hang out multiple times a week for multiple hours. And you think, do I really want to hang out with this person multiple times a week for multiple hours for 6 months, a year, for the rest of my life? Or is this someone who would be better off as a friend? Because our friends, we do not have to be picky. The sometimes as friends are yes, the sometimes as in dating are no's. We don't, because when we're dating people, most people have sex with each other. If you're not religious, you're having sex with people that you're dating, and you're becoming more like them. You're taking the pool of energy that is within you, a little of your patterning, your toxicity, your love, your light, your kindness, your sweetness, and you're mixing it with that person every time you guys have sex. And you go, is that really someone I want to be swapping my pool of light with their pool of light with? Or are they not living their life in the level of integrity that I would lead my life? Are they not someone that I really enjoy spending time with all of the time? Because why settle? Why compromise? If you think you deserve better, you absolutely do. And there's never any reason to settle or compromise. And usually the pattern that we have, the people pleaser within us goes, oh, they like me, I have to like them too. You don't. You can be interested and curious as them as a friend, but even for me in my life, I treat everyone as a friend. Everyone is a friend. And if it's really meant to be more than friends, you'll know. And that other person will also know. And if you feel like you don't know, or even if you're like, I feel a lot of love for this person, but I still feel unsure if this is my person, then you can spend more time getting to know them, but keep it in friends, because anytime you cross past friends, if you try and go back to friends, it makes it a little tricky. It can be a little complicated, which our egos and our negative patterning loves, and our souls, if you're aligned with our soul, goes, oh God, this sucks. So when we're thinking about who to date, I would say never settle, never compromise. It doesn't mean you can't get to know them, but get to know them as a friend. Show interest and curiosity with them as a friend. And the more we can be clear on, I don't hang out with people that are negative, that hurt me. I don't hang out with people that say microaggressive statements towards me. I don't have sex with people that don't feel like they would be someone I would want to be in a long-term relationship with. That I don't have sex with people that feel like I'm settling and compromising for less than I deserve. The more clear our intuition will be, the more clear boundaries you have on staying away from complication, chaos, toxicity, the more you'll naturally align with your soul, and the more clear your intuition will become on discerning of, this person feels like someone I'm meant to date, this person feels like someone who's just a friend. And just because you're attracted to someone doesn't mean it's someone you're meant to date. It just means that there's some type of resonance, whether that's resonance with your patterning or resonance with your soul. And the only way you're going to know which one it is to be curious and interested with people. And if someone's showing you interest, I'd say always give them a chance as a friend, because you never know how lovely or amazing or kind someone could be. And if you don't have the space in your life, you don't have the space in your life, and that's okay. But the more, as friends, the more people that are interested in getting us to know us as friends, and the more we can reflect that interest back to us, is always going to add more valuable relationships to our life. There's very few people out there that actively hurt people, that are actively toxic towards people, and most people are genuinely loving, caring, kind people. And so if we give people chances, most of the time they are going to add value to our life, because our life is a life of how deeply did I love, how deep relationships did I form, how much love was I able to share with people, how much kindness and compassion and presence was I able to share with those people around me that slowly uplifted everyone to having a little bit more love in their heart, having a little bit more joy in their day. And that's the true meaning of life. It isn't about how much money. God doesn't go, God, when you die, the investment bankers don't get a special seat in heaven. The people that get the praise or the special seat, maybe the higher offices in heaven, are the ones who loved the living crap out of everyone and was still clear in their boundaries, and always we're mindful of what is loving towards myself too, and not putting ourselves in around hurtful people or hurtful environments. But life is about how deeply you love. It doesn't matter what you do with your job. It literally doesn't even matter what career you choose to do, but how much impact were you able to make with that career, and what kind of person were you as you lived that career out? Because the universe is much more concerned of what kind of person are you than what you do with your life. And if you are helping and serving people in your career, that is a blessing, and that will transform you into a more loving version of yourself. So absolutely, if you can move in that direction, move in that direction. But think about, what are the actions I'm taking, and are they making me a better person, or are they feeding more complication, chaos, and hurt and pain in my life? And am I living a life from the inner the inner wrathful samurai ego, or am I living a life from a gentle, loving, peaceful, interest curious soul? And am I giving the people who are interested in me as friends all that same level of interest, in seeing who would actually be good for me to spend time with and who isn't? Or am I cutting people out of my life before ever giving them a chance to know them at all? And when we're thinking about dating, am I taking it slow? Am I really showing curiosity and interest in, is this person's words and actions lining up? Am I exploring why someone might be a no just as much as a yes? Because we should never be relating to people from who they could become, but who they actually are. And the more we relate to people from who they actually are, the more we're going to see who's right for us and who isn't. And the more we explore the no's of why someone is a no, or explore why someone's patterning, or like, why might this person not be a good person, the more we can look at that within people, the more we can look at that our own patterns and judgments and ideas, the more aware we're going to become of what true discernment is, which true discernment is gentle nudges that we then double check with our curiosity, our interest, and how we feel spending time with people. So I hope that helps. Thank you for listening, and have a great night.